Sorry, I needed to take that in. I'd like to set the stage. Some 50 years ago, industry leaders, much like yourselves, were gathered in a room not too different than the one we're in today to talk about issues facing the industry. Namely, inflation was driving consumer purchasing power down. Rising operational costs shrunk margin. Geopolitical issues caused fear and uncertainty. And suddenly, this industry was in the media's crosshairs. What came out of that room was consensus. Consensus behind a solution that was a win for both customers and business alike. One that would fundamentally change the way we looked at that industry. That solution was a flexible spending account, and that industry was healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years later, different industry, same problems. Our consumers are being killed by inflation. Tariffs make things worse. Interchange fees eat away at already paper-thin margins. Units are down, and suddenly, we are the media darlings. Our team is here to say that today marks our industry's defining moment. My name is Andrew Wilson, and I have the honor and privilege of introducing the team that not only identified an opportunity and moment, but is offering a solution that could chart our industry's course for decades to come. Tanya Duran, Bimbo Bakeries. Julie Groupie, Raley's Companies. Javier Leal, Vallarta Supermarkets, and Logan Smith, Niagara Bottling. And collectively, we are the industry innovators. Let's take a look at what consumers are dealing with. Since 2019, the cost of groceries have increased 40%, and they continue to rise. The same basket of items that cost $100 just 4 years ago now cost $140. So what are consumers doing about it? They're removing items from their basket. And the items that they're removing are the fresh fruits and vegetables, the proteins, the items that drive margin for each and every retailer in this room. We're calling these consumers the forgotten middle class. These are hard-working, tax-paying people that aren't looking for a hand out. They're looking for a hand up. The healthcare industry's hand up was the FSA and HSA. Ours will be the GSA. Allow me to introduce the Grocery Savings Account. Grocery Savings Account is a consumer-funded pre-taxed advantage savings account similar to HSA, FSAs. Consumers can set aside a certain amount of pre-tax income that would be loaded directly onto a debit card and accepted at your stores like any other payment method. We don't have to recreate the wheel here. The infrastructure and consumer acceptance of this is already there. This isn't a new concept, just entirely new for our industry. The closest thing we have is food as medicine programs, which are fragmented, don't work the way they could or should, and rely on the healthcare industry to drive the bus. At this point, you're probably thinking to yourselves, is this even worthy of a Capstone presentation? It had to have been proposed before. It's common sense. It seems straightforward. And I would be lying to you if I said that each and every member on this stage didn't think the same exact thing until we started doing the work. Using the resources available to us at USC, we could not uncover one white paper, one policy paper, one article, nothing. This was all confirmed by our discussions with industry groups such as FMI, NGA, and CGA, who all said the same thing. This is truly a unique, new, and creative way to deal with this issue that we're facing. The GSA can be our industry's keys. It can take us from back seat to driver's seat. And the good part about it is we don't have to do it alone. Our research indicates there are many industries that would benefit from this, namely agricultural, farming, healthcare, who would all be willing to come along for the ride. But the best part about this program is that we get to cement our industry's future and legacy, locking dollars into the grocery channel, all in the name of the reason we get up each and every day. The reason we chose to get into this tough, tough business. And that's people. That's feeding people. So now that I've laid the groundwork, I'm going to hand it over to Tanya to talk about our solution and how we go from idea to implementation.
Rising food costs are putting pressure on working families all across America. We see it every day in our stores. Inspired by the success FSA's had in healthcare, we introduce you to the Grocery Savings Account, a pre-tax advantage account that will give consumers more access to healthier foods. So as we look at this debit card, we know that we have the system that'll automatically load pre-tax dollars so consumers can use them across our already established debit rails in our grocery stores and in our club stores. The beauty of this program is these dollars will be locked into our industry. It can only be used in grocery stores, mass retailers, and including club stores, but not at convenience stores. So these are dollars for us. So of course, any program of this size has to have some parameters around it. We structured this program to have consumers be able to load $125 as an individual weekly onto the card and $250 for families, automatically loaded onto the debit card. The maximum income per year will be $103,000 for an individual and $206,000 for a family. This is aligned with the 22% and below tax bracket that the middle class falls into. Like I said, these are grocery dollars for our industry. Using this program, this will give our consumers an additional 10 to 22% of grocery dollars in their basket every week based on their tax bracket they fall into. So seems like a great program, right? So how do we go about implementing it? We look no further than FSAs. And what they did in the 70s gives us a roadmap to how we're going to implement this into our stores starting today. FSAs used pilot programs, private letter rulings, grassroots lobbying to bring together the healthcare industry back in the 70s to implement the FSAs. We propose to do the same. We can bring together retailers, suppliers, farming, and even healthcare along with us to get this program implemented. We will look at the current tax code. Our current tax code is 88,000 pages. We know that healthy food helps everybody's health. So we can put this under the current tax code that exists under Section 125 where FSAs sit. Pilot programs. We will look at high-need areas to roll this program out first to test the logistics, make sure the program works, make sure the cards automatically get loaded before we roll out to full implementation across the nation. So you may be asking yourself, who is this program for? Who is this truly going to help? The forgotten middle class consists of 65 million Americans, and this is the true target audience we have for this program. On one side, we have, of the affordability cliff, we have the SNAP benefits, WIC, government assistance. On the other side, we have rising food costs where people can no longer fill this basket. The grocery savings account will be the bridge across the cliff that will give our consumers and our employees access to more nutritious food and better spend for their grocery dollars. Now I'm going to hand it over to Julie. She's going to take you through how this program is going to be paid for through the economic multiplier effect and how it's truly going to help our industry.
Now, we have defined the forgotten middle class. So let's look at the dollars that we're going to put back into our industry. So what is that path to inject that $55 billion into our industry? Well, we took that population of 65 million, which is 1.5 times the size of California, times the participation rate. So that participation rate, we took a conservative look based on the HSA and FSA participation That equals 26 million households. And then we times that by the average contribution rate. That equals that 55 billion. 55 billion. That represents 6% of our industry's $900 billion. Now let me say that again to you guys. 6% of the $900 billion. That's a huge number. That's going to impact our entire industry. So I'm sure you're all wondering, why in the world would the government do this? Well, it's simple, the ROI, the multiplier effect. This effect's going to take that $55 billion and turn it into $110 billion of economic growth. So how does it work? Well, it's pretty simple. It takes that money and it puts back in, and we see higher demand for goods and services. We see increased production. We see jobs created. Those new employees, they spend more money, and that money regenerates through our economy. So let's take a little bit deeper look into this virtuous cycle. So in this cycle, we are looking at everyone here. So it's retailers, it's manufacturers, it's distribution, and farming. They all benefit. So everyone in this room will benefit from the GSA program. So I want to take a little bit deeper look into farming. So farming is not just my livelihood, it's my heritage, and it's my passion. My family has owned and operated for the past 75 years a tractor company. So I know firsthand the challenges that farmers in the farming industry feels from lack of demand. And with this GSA program, because farming is so tough, the GSA program will enable the farming industry to benefit from generation to generation. But ultimately, this program is not just about dollars and cents. It's about people. Javier is going to take you through the impact for everyday Americans.
Everybody talks about food insecurity. What they're not talking about is the fear of food insecurity. Fear of food insecurity is by far more harmful to people and the economy. When people fear of food insecurity, they're not investing. There is no financial commitment. They're not thinking about buying a car, much less they're thinking about buying a home, because they're too busy worrying, not knowing if they're going to have enough food on their table tomorrow. Fear of food insecurity impacts people, it impacts the economy, and it impacts the grocery industry. But who are these people? Who that I know can possibly fear of food insecurity, right? Well, let me tell you something. It's our team members. You know that team member of the month who we celebrate so much? Well, guess what? They're fearing of food insecurity as well. And let's not forget about our most loyal customers. They too fear of food insecurity. Let me introduce you to the Mejia family from Santa Clarita, California. Both Julio and Maria work full-time jobs. They don't receive any kind of government assistance. They rent a 2-bedroom apartment who they share with their son, Nathan, and Nathan's grandmother. I catch up to the Mejia family in a parking lot at a grocery store in Santa Clarita. And I asked Maria, are you willing to share with me what you guys just purchased? And did it fill your basic needs? Very hesitant, Maria responded, we bought what we needed it. The rest can wait. I invited the Mejia family back in the store. Once inside the store, I asked Maria, if I give you $36 to buy groceries, what will you buy that you couldn't buy earlier? Before Maria could respond, something amazing happened. Let's listen to it.
Fruit, Mom, can I please get some fruit?
That is the voice of 8-year-old Nathan, who interrupted us to beg his mom to please let him get some fruits. Maria responded, of course, Nathan, we could get some fruits. I watched Nathan that day choose his fruits and vegetables. He was the happiest kid on earth. Earlier, the Mejia family spent $165 worth of groceries. The $36 I gave them is a representation of a 22% tax bracket of additional dollars the Mejia family could have had if they had the opportunity of putting $165 each week in their grocery savings accounts. But the Mejia family doesn't get that opportunity. And Nathan doesn't get to have his fruits and vegetables, as he should on a regular basis. And just like the Mejia family, there are millions of families who choose not to get their fruits and vegetables because they just don't have enough money. I'm going to share something with you. I grew up with food insecurity. And watching my mother tell the cashier to remove items from her order because she just didn't have enough money to pay, that was the worst feeling ever. I still get the chills when I think about it. And yes, you are guessing right. I am going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I change that future for my children and their children. And now, I'm going to pass it over to Logan, who is going to go over on how, together, as a grocery industry, we are, and let me repeat that, we are going to change this for generations to come.
So I think you all can tell we're very excited about this idea. Thankfully, we're not the only ones. Throughout the course of the semester, we've had an opportunity to meet with leaders from retailers, suppliers, and industry associations. They all pretty much have the same feedback. This is a great idea, and we would get behind this. But not only did we stop there, we took it to the streets. And I mean that quite literally. We talked to people while buying our suits. We talked to people in grocery aisles. We talked to family, friends, and quite frankly, anyone that would give us their ear for 10 minutes. Once again, the feedback was similar. How has this not been done? We love this idea. Well, as Andrew said, this has been done, just not in our industry. And this is our chance to take the reins and bring a new idea to our industry and make a long-term impact. The matter of the fact is, though, we're just 5 people. We have the idea, but we need the support of this room to help move this forward. Now you ask, what's next and why do we need this? So within our industry, we have a couple issues right now. People aren't able to buy as much food as they need, access to healthy food, and units and dollars aren't growing like they used to. So what do we have? A solution, the grocery savings account, a pre-tax debit card account that can only be spent at mass retailers and club channels. This would be for individuals, the contribution is $125 a week pre-tax, and for people filing as families, it'd be $250 a week. What's the impact of this? There's 3 major impacts: the industry impact, the people impact, and the captive dollars impact. Let's start with the industry impact. At just a 40% participation rate, we have the potential to bring in $55 billion of additional revenue each year. And that's just at 40% participation. With the HSA, FSAs, there's other options. This would be the only option. Second, people impact. The people need more food and more access to healthy food. Inflation is rising, costs are going up, and they are struggling. Just as Javier did with the Mejia family, people would love this. They want access to the healthier food, and that's what they will choose. They want to be able to buy the higher margin items to support and feed their families. Lastly, captive dollars. How often do we get the chance to lock dollars into your industry? Let me say that again, lock dollars in. And at just 40% participation, that would potentially lock in $400 billion a year to our industry. And that's just this year. This idea is 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years out. It can last forever. Second, credit card transaction fees. Credit card transaction fees are something that cut into our already very low margins. This gives us the opportunity to bring some percentage points back to our margin and help us increase them. The 401k started at $7 million. Today, it's up to $7 trillion. We have the opportunity to do the same thing here. We each ask that you take the opportunity to scan this QR code so you can inquire about more information, and then we can reach out to you after this with next steps and to help us push this forward. I want to end in this story. You guys may not be able to see this, but last week in class, Stacy gave us each a rock. This one said change, and she told us that each rock means something to us. Last week, I really wasn't sure what it means, and this week I'm confident that it means make change. So help us make a change in our industry and bring dollars and units back in while helping the people at the same time. Thank you. We are the Industry Innovators, and we welcome your questions.
Great presentation, even better topic. Super exciting. I do have a question though. So you talked a lot about healthy and nutritious food, basic needs. Do you foresee this program being specifically GSA eligible items, or can a customer buy whatever they like?
You want to take that, Tanya?
Yeah, since since these are your actual dollars coming out of your paycheck, you do have the option to buy what you want. We found through our research that more people are putting back the fruits and vegetables that their family needs, just because they don't have enough money to pay for them. So the idea is that they would choose healthier foods, but because it is your own dollars coming out of your own paycheck, you can spend it however you want, but it's specifically for food and beverages.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. I got a question. Would this be similar to the HSA where the tax-free monies can be invested?
No, not exactly. So the tax-free, invested by who are you referring to?
So in an HSA account, you can invest your money similar to the 401k?
No, we would not have that in here. We would do it, part of this would be locking dollars into that sort of, that debit rails, and that would be sort of our push for the credit card companies and fintech players to say, here's your bucket of money, lower the interchange fees, get us down to that 21 cent per transaction sort of thing. So that's kind of the route we're going in it, so it stays in there.
And then one other question on that is there a time frame where the monies have to be spent?
So the program would work similar to how HSAs work currently, where you can roll over the money to the following year. You would just there would be just a max amount that we would have to establish that you're allowed to have in the account at one time.
Well done, team. Very good topic. So I got two questions here. So it looks like we're kind of moving the pre-tax from the federal savings into the city and state based on the local tax that you'd have once you buy the groceries. And I'm just curious what that difference looks like. And then the other question is, have you done any research about what it would look like for folks that wouldn't buy more groceries but now would just have a tax advantage?
We have done research on what it would look like if consumers wouldn't buy more groceries, but based on the research that we're finding is that consumers would take that dollar and buy more groceries with it. They're not getting what they need. From what our research proves out, consumers are putting items back. They're removing items. This tax account would be able to fulfill their baskets even more. So we did think about that, but all of our quantitative research so far has not shown that consumers would use this almost as a spending sort of budgeting process. It would be actually for groceries. Thank you.